Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are fine. In our lecture today, we will discuss figurative language, or what do we title as poetic devices. This lecture will include the following: figurative language or poetic devices, parts of poetic devices, structural devices, paradox, repetition, and illustration. So starting with figurative language or poetic devices. So what does figurative language refer to? Actually, it refers to the poetic devices, that is to say, figures of speech, which are the special qualities each poem may have. Parts of the poetic devices or types. Actually, we have three main types that are structural devices, sense devices, and sound devices. In this chart, I will include each part with examples. We have structural devices like, for example, paradox, repetition, and illustration. Also, we have sense devices like simile, metaphor, extended metaphor, and personification, in addition to symbol. Finally, we have sound devices like alteration, assonance, onomatopoeia, and rhyme and rhythm. For this lecture, we will start with the structural poetic devices that are paradox, repetition, illustration. So what do I mean by structural devices? What do I mean by paradox, repetition, and illustration? Now you will know. First of all, what do structural devices refer to? Actually, structural poetic devices refer to the poetic devices, that is to say, figures of speech that indicate the way the whole poem is built. There should be a specific way to build the poem, and this way called structural poetic device. We have many ways. For example, we have paradox, we have repetition, we have illustration. And now you will know what do I mean by all these structural poetic devices with examples. The first structural poetic device is called paradox. So what is a paradox? Actually, paradox is the juxtaposition of two completely opposite things or pictures. Okay? It occurs when we have two objects or ideas that might be false in the surface but imply a hidden truth. For example, we have these two lines from Richard Lovelace's to Elia from prison, stanza 4, lines 1 to 2. Stone walls do not a prison make, nor iron bars a cage. What do I mean by paradox? We have here stone walls. So we have prison, and prison is consisted of 4 walls, okay, with ceiling. So stone walls do not a prison make. The poet says that walls are actually not a prison, nor iron bars a cage. Even if the prison is consisted of iron bars, those iron bars are not a cage. How come? What do I mean by this? Well, explanation. Look, in the surface meaning, what do we have? These two lines may appear from the first reading to be false, as we have said in the previous definition. Why? As all the prisons are made of stone walls. And by the use of these walls, prisoners are confined. Okay? It's clear that we have prison. Prison is a room, and the room is consisted of 4 walls with ceiling. So physically, pay attention to this. Physically, the person here is confined, is imprisoned physically. And this is the surface meaning. Deep meaning, what does the poet mean? But if we look deeply to the real meaning of the 2 lines, we will realize that the poet is referring to the soul or the spirit, even though the body is confined. So, physically, any person will be confined in a prison. However, his soul or his spirit is free. Okay? So this, what I can call it, paradox. Moving on to another important structural device, which is called repetition. What is a repetition? Well, it is a structural poetic device which occurs when the poet repeats a single word, line, or a whole stanza at intervals to emphasize certain idea or to produce musical effects. So repetition means to repeat. Repeat what? To repeat a single word in the poem or stanza, to repeat a line along the poem or along the stanza, to repeat a whole stanza, like in the chorus in the songs, you know, there is a stanza is repeated, okay, along the song. The same thing in any poem. I have a repetition in a single word, sorry, if I have a repetition of a single word or a line or even a whole stanza, then this means that I am building my poem or my stanza according to the structural poetic device repetition. For example, from Coleridge's The Ancient Mariner, we have water, water everywhere, and all the bars did shrink. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Here we have a repetition in this line. We have a repetition of water, water everywhere. So here we have a repetition of the line, water, water everywhere. So the Ancient Mariner is built according to the structural poetic device, repetition. And this is an example for repetition. Moving on to the explanation of these two lines. Well, at first, the poet is repeating the word water. The poet here is emphasizing the vast of the sea by repeating the word water. Actually, this repetition should have a function, should be useful for the meaning of the whole poem. So when the poet is repeating the word water, he is emphasizing the vast of the sea. Water, water, everywhere, okay? So here we have the meaning. At the same time, he shows how thirsty the sailors are, okay? Although the water is everywhere, but they cannot drink it because it is salty water. As you know, the water of the sea is salty. So even if we have water everywhere around us in the sea, we can drink from it and we will be thirsty. Why? Because it is salted and we can't drink a salted water. So here we have a repetition with the word water, and also we have a repetition. We have a repetition with the line water, water everywhere. Okay? As we have explained here. Water, water everywhere. First of all, we have a repetition of the word water, and then we have a repetition of the whole line. Water, water everywhere. Water, water everywhere. Okay. Moving on to another important structural poetic device, which is called illustration. So what is an illustration? Well, an illustration is a structural poetic device used when the poet makes an idea clear by presenting vivid pictures, that is to say, by giving more information in order to make the idea clear. So this means that the poet will give you an idea and he will make his idea clear by presenting vivid pictures and by giving you more information. Example for illustration is Percy Bysshe Shelley's poem Ozymandias that will be studied and analyzed in the next lecture. So for further reading, you can refer to this reference. And this is the end of our lecture today. Next lecture, as I have just said, it will be the poem Ozymandias. Thank you very much for your time and good luck. Actually, we have here poetic devices. It means how to build a poem. How to build a poem means I should have a way in order to build my poem. One way is by using paradox. Okay. One way like illustration. Another way like repetition. I can repeat things. And we can see repetition everywhere, actually, in songs, for example. So structural poetic devices are so important in making poetry.